Okay, Rich, I started the video. We have a quorum, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm 6. Yeah, so we have a quorum, and going to wait just another minute to see if Emily or Michelle. There's Kelly. Okay, glad I waited. Emily, Michelle, and Liz, I guess, are not in yet. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and start. This is really pretty brief, or it should be fairly brief. We've been asked by the Equity Committee of the Putney Select Board by Putney Town to distribute a notice about the painting of the Black Lives Matter on the road in front of the school. And our administrators very wisely consulted each other and consulted the attorney to make sure that if we did such a thing, we did it correctly and in a way that would not create a liability further on, into the future. Here's Liz. So Andy talked to Pietro, and then I talked to him today, and he wrote back that if we want to do this, let me back up a little bit more. Because we're a merged board, the town of Putney, the Putney school community, the two members, here's Michelle. So I'll wait another minute. Okay, so I think we're all here now, except Emily. So as I was saying, because we're a merged board, the board members from the town of Putney cannot, representing Putney, cannot speak as a board or for the board. We're merged, so we all have to, if Putney wants something special or something in particular or something's going on, we have to act for them. So that's why we're being asked to endorse this notice, and I'll put it up on the screen and we can read through it. So we're careful, we understand exactly what we're doing. Endorse this notice and direct the administration to send it out to the school community, to the email list that the school has for the Putney community. That's my understanding, and Liz and Ann are both here. So if that's incorrect, they can correct me. By endorsing it, it becomes, one more admit here. By endorsing it, it becomes political speech. It becomes organizational statement. It becomes something that is ours, and we're distributing something that is ours. We're not doing something for an outside organization or for any particular political cause. So we won't be required to provide similar access to other organizations. If someone wants to come and present us with a resolution and ask us to endorse it, and we don't want to endorse it, then we don't endorse it, and it doesn't get distributed. If somebody comes and asks us to endorse something, which just happened and will happen again, in fact, with the Black Lives Matter flag and the POW flag, or POW MIA flag, are two excellent examples where people have come and we've taken it under consideration. And in one case, we've taken an action, and the other, we're waiting for the students to be available again to participate in the process on the second one. This one is much more time sensitive because the event is on Sunday. And so I called this special meeting, which we can do with 24 hours notice, which we did. Barb got the notice out to the media, and I taped one to the Guilford Town Hall, the Guilford Town offices, and I put another one in the notice board at the Brattleboro Town offices. So our notice is out. We are a legally warned meeting. And so now I'm going to share the document with everyone and just kind of read through it. And then just ask for your thoughts and comments. I could say a lot more about how it fits into the work that we agreed to around the commitment or other work that's going on, and with a lot of the conversations and the things that are important to us and values of the community. But I'd rather hear from all of you about that. So here, can you all see the document now? Actually, you'll have to unmute to tell me.
I can see it.
Okay, Thomas.
I can see it. I'm trying to read it.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, I'm going to be quiet now, since if a few of you can see it, you can all see it. So I'll be quiet and you can read it. So have all the board, if board member and you haven't had time to read this, please say so, let me know. So what is your pleasure? If we wanted to endorse this and have it sent out, we would need a motion to endorse the statement and direct the administration to distribute it to the Putney school community. I think it would be pretty straightforward and simple.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, so moved by Ann and seconded by Thomas. Sean, thank you.
Yeah, I was just wondering, does this have a title? Is it a resolution? Or can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So does it have a title per se? Or is it just sort of a statement that we're going to be supporting? So could I have a little context in terms of, what it would fall under?
Yes, it's, let me give me a second here to get my email up. This is, it's what the agenda says and what the statement that I sent around to everyone via email said is Black Lives Matter mural statement from Town of Putney Equity Committee. So that's that's what we're endorsing. So I actually, and Thomas, that should go into the minutes as what with the motion. That's what we are, the motion we're endorsing.
And our,
I'm sorry, Sean, I think I just muted you.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
And our place in this would be to make an acquiescence that we agree with what the town of Putney is doing in relationship to the property on their school grounds, or is it on the Westminster West Road?
It's to be painted on the Westminster West Road. What we approved last week in our regular meeting was to allow to give permission to the people that are going to be doing the work to park in the school driveway so that they don't have to park on the road when they're doing the work. They have, and Ann and Liz may be able to fill in more carefully, more fully, but I think what I understand is that they have arranged with the sheriff's department, and they're going to paint across one lane while the traffic goes both two directions in the other lane. And then apparently it dries fairly quickly. And then they'll open that lane up and close the other lane and paint the rest of it on the other side across the street.
Okay, I have one more question. Do you
yes.
know, it says trained peacekeepers. Do you know what that would mean?
I believe that is, I
It's-
don't have specific information on that in this case. What that typically means is there are people who are trained to intervene and sort of de-escalate situations.
It's
So-
from the Quaker Meeting House in Putney.
Yes, the
They're
Quaker Friends meeting.
That's who that is, Sean.
Okay, thank you.
They're-
Okay. Tim,
Yeah. Am I unmuted?
you
Yeah.
are.
Okay, I like to state the obvious, so I'll say that art still has a place in social movements, but it is no substitute for structural or policy changes, for anti-racist curricular changes, for diversity in hiring practices. So I endorse this, and my hope is that it's not merely symbolic, but it'll precede structural and policy changes that are substantive.
Thank you, Tim. Kelly?
So it takes, I take no great pleasure in saying this, but I'm gonna take a position that most assuredly is going to be not agreed to by other people. I believe that we do not have a place in endorsing something that the town of Putney has decided to do. There are boundaries. Now, the intent might be great behind it, and people might support what the action is spoken of. But there are boundaries, and the school board's responsibility at the meeting where we agreed to allow them to use the parking lot for their purposes. It's their town, fine. I have no problem with that, if they want to do this. But I don't believe that it is the school board's responsibility or place to be endorsing, advocating, being involved in something that is a town thing. If every town in this district wanted to do this, I would say the same thing. If there was another position, I would say the same thing. This is, I feel that it was appropriate for us to say, of course, the town of Putney, of course, use the school parking lot. This is your town. But I don't feel that it is our place to be endorsing this. It's our place, absolutely, to be looking at the policies of the schools, the individual schools, the district-wide. Absolutely, it's our place to be doing that. But I don't believe that it's our place to be involved in endorsing things that a town is choosing to do on their town property. If it was involving the school, then absolutely it would be our place. But we've already agreed that they could use the parking lot. That's not it. That's not what this is. And so, yeah, I do not support.
Ann?
Well, I had lowered my hand, but I wanted to explain to Sean and possibly Tim that the request here is to endorse it and allow the school messenger system to send this letter as written out to the Putney school community. And Tim, I wanted to assure you that the town of Putney instituted its Equity and Inclusion Committee in order to address systematic and structural racism within our town. And that's it.
Sean?
Thank you, Ann.
Yeah, I was just wondering how, under what was the mechanism that this is coming before this board at this time in a special meeting? How did it transpire?
Well, I got an email from Ann about a number of different details came up, and gradually a member of the leadership council and of the diversity committee of the town select board, the Putney Town Select Board, asked to have this sent out, and the administrators checked into it, and the response from the attorney was that it would create a precedent the way it was presented. And so I explored further to see if when you get an attorney's opinion, it doesn't mean anything if you don't know what the question was that was asked. So I asked the question about if we endorse this, if we said that we support this and advertise it, would we create the same situation that he had warned against if we didn't, if we just sent it out? And that was that other people could come and ask us to send their messages out as well. And we didn't want to create that precedent. And so the way we could support this and get it out to the Putney community, which is what we've been asked to do by our Putney school board members, and because they can't do it on their own because we're a merged board. If they were on their own, it would be done and we wouldn't be having this conversation, but it's not. So we have to act collectively. And so we were asked to, I pursued it, and then the advice I got from the attorney is that we could do it this way, and we would not create that limited public forum, I believe is the legal term. So that's how we got here. Michelle?
Yeah, David, could you stop sharing the screen so we could see each
Oh,
other?
there's a really good idea. Thank you.
It's hard.
I'm
Thanks.
really sorry. That's
Okay.
terrible.
I had a thought in response to Kelly, but I have a question too. So just the thought that just popped right into my mind when Kelly was talking is really about coming in with some feedback as somebody who just recently relocated to this area. We came in here November 2018, and that spring, I wasn't a merged board, but the board had approved, students had to come to the board to ask about putting a Black Lives Matter flag up at the high school. And so my question is actually, I'm wondering I would love to hear a little bit of the background of that and how we came to do that. But the point I guess I'm trying to make, sorry, I'm putting it all together. My family was in Ohio, and we saw that headline in Ohio. We were considering whether we wanted to move here. And when I saw that newspaper article, I was wowed. I was wowed by the students for being informed and caring and wanting to do this. And I was wowed by a school board that could see it for what it was and not be afraid of it being controversial or political and allowing it. I was wowed enough to tell my neighbors who, were teachers and biracial families. And you guys had no idea that there was this whole community in Ohio talking about Brattleboro, because it said a lot about what was going on here. And I know my teacher friends were telling their teacher friends. And so I do think that when we talk about we want to recruit people into the area and biracial people of color into our staff, and we want people to feel like they can come here. That you guys letting that flag go up was influential for my own family, but it made an impact on people far away, that they were talking about it and saw it as, it's something that was so encouraging. So I don't think there is value in that of us putting our name behind this and supporting this measure. And you have no idea who's seeing it as they're trying to explore this area and consider what this area might offer them if they came here. But I am curious if, I don't know, because we weren't a merged board, but if we already have a flag up, I mean, how different is that from supporting something like this?
Kelly?
Well, first of all, I want to say that there are two separate issues here. One of them is, excuse me, the intent behind this. And I feel like the school board is making efforts in different ways. We've adopted the ideas that we wanted to support. We are looking at ways of diversifying the teachers and administration and that sort of personnel administration sort of aspect. My big concern, and David, you used the word precedent. That's the word that was coming to my head. My big concern is this is not something that's going on at a school. It's not something that's going that the school is dependent upon or connected to. The only connection to the school is that they're using our our as in Putney School's parking lot. Okay, so sorry Putney if that's kind of like whatever. That's the only connection to the school. So I know that from in the Guilford, the Guilford newsletter, my kids used to bring home, there were all kinds of things that they would have in there, and they would say, we're not, you know, we're just providing the information along, we're moving it along, we're just, you know, we're not endorsing or supporting or whatever it was. They're just providing the information. My concern is the precedent that this is going to be set, and that we're not keeping the boundaries separate between the school district and the towns. And I would also want to be assured, I mean, nobody has to assure me of anything, you know, but I would want to know that we would look at the merits of anyone coming to the board, and we would give them the same opportunity. That's one thing. But my biggest concern is that you are crossing the boundaries of endorsing something that a town is doing. I don't feel that it's our place. As this, we might all agree with it, we might disagree with it, we might have different shades of ideas or whatever it is. That's not even coming into play with what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is a Putney town activity, and I don't believe that the school board has any role in being involved. I mean, except, I mean, if we were to pass it along as in, guess what, people, you know, just like there's a street fair going on here, or there's a, whatever else is happening out in the world, these things are happening. But I don't believe that the school board has a place in being involved in endorsing things that a town is doing.
Thank you, Kelly. Tim?
I appreciate Kelly's concerns, but to me, this is not simply a town movement, but this is a nationwide movement. And what the school board addresses should not be confined to within the walls of the school. We address issues that affect our entire community. And that's why I have no problem with it. In fact, I wonder why BUHS is not following suit. But the bottom line for me is that it's not simply a town issue. This is a national issue, and by endorsing this art movement in Putney, we're throwing our support behind a much broader movement.
Thank you, Tim. Just one clarification and then just one statement on my part. As far as precedent that Kelly raised, This is something that we already, there's already a precedent. If someone from the community or some group of people from the community want to use our facilities or want to use our distribution system, or we basically have to approve it. And if somebody comes, if we approve this and somebody else came with another statement that they would like to have approved, and we looked at it and approved it, then we would do that as well. If we didn't support it, if it didn't reflect the values of the school community, we wouldn't. So but this is something that we are open to. We've always been open to, and it's a process that's available to us. So the issue of precedent, it doesn't have meaning here because it's already a precedent. It's already a practice. The other thing I'd like to say is it's true that the town and the schools are different institutions. They're different municipal structures. They're governed by different titles of municipal law, but they interact with the exact same community. It's one community that they interact with. And the structure of these, nobody designed the municipal law and the school and the education law to be racist, to have a racist impact. But objectively, the impact is racist in this situation because it doesn't allow the school, which represents the same community the town does in the case of Putney, it doesn't allow the school to participate in without this endorsement. And Kelly, I think your reasoning is that because they're separate, we can't do this. And the objective effect of that is a racist one. It means that the information that the town, that the community of Putney would want to know about this or want to participate in this and would want to have some understanding of, rather than drive by on Monday morning and see it there and wonder what's all that about, they'll know about it. They'll have accurate information about it. And that's a resource that the school has, and it's unique to the school. And so I think that they are two separate institutions, but we're not in any way crossing any sort of legal or structural ground. We're crossing a community boundary and saying that we're all part of the same community, and we all support this work, and we all support these goals, and that's why I think it's reasonable to ask us. Michelle?
David, you just said that so gracefully.
I felt like I was stumbling.
No, and I was on the same page. It never would have come out of me that way. But I was thinking also in response to Kelly, because I do hear you, but this merged board came together, and I think the greatest concern that people carried, and I know I haven't been here long, but I was a former Vermonter and lived elsewhere, and it was the same concerns, is just the desire to see your community values in your school system. It's a strength, and I wouldn't want to deny, it would be the beginning of taking that value away, to take it from their community and taking it out of their school by overriding that. And so I think it's important that we do consider ourselves one community and stand with them, and don't impede on what they want to be doing when it's not as controversial, because we've already adopted so many measures and we're pretty clear on where we stand on this issue.
Thank you, Michelle. Sean?
I have two questions. The first, but I'll ask one, and I was a little confused about Tim's comment about Brattleboro Union High School. And I wasn't too clear whether that was in the past or the present. You said something like, I'm a little surprised that BUHS something.
Could you clarify that, Tim?
Be clarified?
Sure. I'm just surprised that BUHS activists have not proposed painting Black Lives Matter in front of the high school. Simply that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then the second question I had, and I'll make a quick comment about that because Michelle brought it up also. But it was actually the BUHS District 6 board that approved the flying of the flag on that campus. So Ann and I were both members of that board. And it was extremely well presented by some middle school students. And so that's how it was initiated. And the other question I kind of wonder about a little bit, and maybe this is partly from what Kelly brought up, is the Westminster West Road must have state aid to it. And so I was just wondering, since it's not on school property, it's actually on, I don't know whether the town owns the Westminster West Road or the state has some jurisdiction over that.
The
So
town.
Yeah, the town.
it's a town road, but they
It's-
get state support probably for it.
They have cleared this with, the state knows they're doing this, and it's within,
Okay.
it's within their power.
Okay, thank you.
Andy,
So thanks, David. I was just going to mention, so part of the origin of this concern came out of policy. And so when we're left to questions about things, we have to look towards policy. And so the question that came up is this idea over the limited public forum. And our policy, it's the distribution of non-school sponsored literature in the schools. That's Code H4 that was adopted last August. This is the origin of the issue. So the origin stemmed from policy, which is why we're here tonight. And so I wanted to clarify that. And in terms of a broader policy piece, this is really where we would want to look towards policy to guide us. There is the Vermont School Boards Association does have some model policy language that we do need to meet as a policy group around. There is a diversity and equity policy model language that's been proposed. So I would just, if we can find the answer in policy in the future, it would be my recommendation to think about how that policy language will be crafted to allow the board to make an adoption of this. To Tim's point, if in some school districts where groups have proposed, student groups have advocated to fly the Black Lives Matter flag. Without policy, it does open the school up to be required to fly a variety of other flags that may not be as supportive or hospitable, or maybe in direct contradiction to that Black Lives Matter flag. And that's kind of the message that David was saying before as well.
thank you. Kelly?
So I just want to clarify something. There's no racist intent behind my position here. So I'm not sure, it wasn't clear exactly what you were saying, David, in regards to that. But I want to say there's no racist intent behind my position, first of all. And so I'll say that my mind always goes to like legality and liability, and when you're talking about equity. And so my biggest concern here is that in trying to do something that would be supportive of the community and would be hoping to bring the community together, it's that there would be it would pin the school board to something in the future because you did this for this one particular instance. And David, maybe you've got it all figured out, but that's where my mind always goes, is liability, legality, precedent, how this is going to play out in the future for other situations that people don't always think about. There might be other groups that, I'm not saying that this should change how people vote or how people act. I'm just saying that people should be aware that this could be opening us up to something. And again, I don't support endorsing a specific thing that a town is choosing to do on town business. And that.
Yeah, Kelly, just to clarify, I thought I was really clear that what I said was that the structure of creating two institutions that function in the same community is having the objective racist effect of not letting people or putting an obstacle in the way of communicating this effort on the part of the community and these values of the community. It's not anything that you said or anything that any of us are saying that's racist. It's the impact of having these two structures, which makes us go through this whole conversation about whether we can do this or not. And I agree that we're separate institutions. I just think that this is a situation where the community's value and the community's the importance of the community understanding what's going on in their community is it's become our responsibility, and our response, it's different now than it was. If we were still unmerged, Putney would just do this and it would be done, but they can't do it now. It falls upon us to do this. So that's my point. It has nothing to do with anybody's individual intention. It's the structure that has a racist impact. I just want to be really, really clear about that. Tim.
First, Andy, I didn't raise the Black Lives Matter flag issue. I think that was Michelle. But my question was, which policy were you referring to that we could possibly fall back on? And my comment is, as a school board, if there's no policy to sustain something that we truly believe is good for the district, then we create new policy.
Correct. So I apologize, Tim, if I misquoted you. The policy original component of it was the distribution of non-school-based literature. And so policies are typically geared towards how are we performing the mission critical aspects of schools. I want to go back to what the VSBA policy language is around, and it was just released recently in the last week or two around their equity position. But that's where that would be the starting point. And I think when policy guides the work, it allows for kind of solid decisions around things that are kind of forward thinking and also protective in the needs of the students of the community and in the best interest of the community.
Thanks, Andy. And also, Tim, I think it's important to. The reason that boards exist, rather than just having everything run by policy, is that sometimes policies have a negative impact, and that's why boards are in place so that there are human beings who can consider the impact of the decisions and the policies and the actions of an institution, and can be flexible when it's necessary to be flexible. It can correct an error when there's an error. So we're doing exactly what we should be doing. We looked at policy, and now we're looking at whether it's having the impact or the effect that we want. And then Liz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As someone who has spent a great deal of time considering these legalities, I can tell you that, as it has been explained to me by attorneys and also explained by the Putney town attorneys, is because we are a government entity, if we make this our speech, that means we do not have to let just anyone send things out, because this is our speech, not someone else's. And
thank you, Ann. I was trying to make that point. I didn't do it very effectively.
I had to do it before.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Liz?
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, this lines up with our social justice and anti-racist commitment. It lines up with it perfectly. So, endorsing and sending, having this go out to parents, this is something we support and we signed on to. So it's not, in my mind, it's not two separate things. And it was actually somebody on the select board proposed that site for the mural. So we're not deviating from our policy. This is our policy. We've already adopted it. So I don't see that it's a policy decision.
Thank you, Liz. Sean?
Yeah, I would maybe go back to the motion because the document that you presented is an invitation to participate in the process. And then down at the bottom, there are a couple of paragraphs that deal with the things that we've all been just speaking about. So what actually, when we do come to vote, are we voting, what are we exactly voting on?
We'll be voting on endorsing the statement and directing the administration to distribute it to the Putney school community.
So that is the invitation, basically. I mean, it's not really a statement, it's an invitation to participate on Sunday and the details are in, but it doesn't, it doesn't really, it's not a resolution, it's just an invitation.
Well, it is an invitation. There also is statements in there. The way that art
Right.
is used, what we're affirming, similar decisions that other community statements have made, and some history of what's been happening in Putney. Those are all part of it as well.
Right. Right. So, I mean, I think because, as Tim mentioned, what is happening nationally, it's like I actually respect very much what Kelly brought to the conversation, and I would hope that there's no feeling of defensiveness by what she said. I think it's very valuable. I think that, some small part of this is a little bit political. And if, it's probably not the place of a board to be political. But I do think that where we are right now as a nation, a state, a community, that it's pretty important to make sure that everybody knows how we feel, and that this is a, it's a big heartfelt problem that we have to do something, and maybe this isn't the best thing, but it's something. And the legal counsel said, yeah, we can probably do this. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, Sean. I don't see any of the board members' hands up. I wanted to ask if Jackie or Thomas had anything they'd like to add before I ask for public comments.
Yeah, I haven't really said anything. I think this is very straightforward, and I don't think it's controversial. I mean, given the time that we're in, I think this is very straightforward. I don't even think that this is a big debate for me. So that's why I didn't comment. I think it's very minor.
Right. Thank you, Thomas. Jackie? Oh, thanks.
Hi, I agree with what Thomas just said. I think it's straightforward and looking forward to the vote.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the public before we go to vote? We have about 25 people here. You don't have to, but if you have something you'd like to contribute, feel free. I hope you know to go down to the bottom of your list of participants there and click on the blue raise your hand icon. I think most people know to do that, but if not, if you don't know how to do that, unmute yourself and ask your question. Well, seeing none, Thomas, would you read the motion back to us, please?
I don't think I really got what the motion was.
Okay.
I just had the board will endorse this. Hold on. Oops. Sorry, my thing I had it written on just popped out. The board will endorse the statement in support of the Black Lives Matter mural.
Okay, so what the board endorses the black, I'll read this part and then this is what we'll vote on, and if you, I'll send it to you later, Thomas, if you don't get it down. That the WSESD board endorses the Black Lives Matter mural statement from the Town of Putney Equity Committee and directs the administration to send the statement to the school community immediately. Andy,
Dave, just for, I'm gonna reach out to the school administration to send this out in the next, you know, I'm gonna reach out to him tonight and see if he can send it out. It's the Town of Putney Equity Committee.
it's
Town of
the
Putney Equity and Inclusion Committee.
All right,
for the Town of Putney. Yeah. And it's at the top of the it's at the top of the statement too that I sent around last night. It's been moved and seconded that we endorse the statement and ask the administration to send it out immediately. All those in favor, please unmute and indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and we've approved the we've endorsed and approved the distribution.
David, I do need numbers for this for the minutes.
Okay, it was 8 aye and 1 nay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's Ruby. We're done here, Ruby, but you know, obviously I'm not gonna shut you off, so go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question that I didn't necessarily want to impact the vote, but could you speak to how this impacts, for example, working with another organization in town? We regularly send to PCS administration, to HERV, information to distribute to the school community. I wanted to understand how this type of protocol affects, say, another organization in town or another town event. Would we not be expecting for us to just forward stuff and have it go in the newsletter?
No, I don't think you should expect anything to be different than it has been. I mean, this was sent to the principal. He had a question about it. He sent it to the superintendent, which is exactly what is supposed to happen because it's not directly related to school activities. And Andy checked with the attorney and we conferred and this is what we came up with. If an organization in any town or any organization wants the school to do something, they have the freedom to come to the board and ask us to endorse something or to do something. But putting notices in community newsletters, school community newsletters, I think is still very much the discretion of the school, the administration. I probably should look at the policy before I say that, but this doesn't change anything. This is something that has always been possible to do. It just happens that this one came up out of sequence and we couldn't take it up at a regular meeting. So we're having a special meeting to talk about it.
Okay, I guess I think I missed, I thought that when I read the announcement, it really did seem kind of like an informational invitation. And so I guess I didn't understand how this board endorsing that is different than this board endorsing when we send out information about Everyone Eats and, you know, encouraging people to utilize it. I realize they're very different things. I just am wondering what the trigger is that would cause an administrator to bring something to the board in this way.
so Ruby, I can answer that. And essentially in this particular case, it's a degree, it could be determined as political speech, whereas Everybody Eats is really a community service or community service type of an initiative. And I think that becomes the dividing line. It's not out of, none of these decisions were brought to the attorney out of disagreement with the direction of the content at all. It was really one born out of how do we create a system and a setup so that we can, be fair and align with policy. And so if the school distributes something that's of a political nature for one viewpoint, and then it's then obligated to distribute information from other political viewpoint, other political organizations of a counter viewpoint that we may or may not agree with. And so that's where that was the reason for the checking in. I think everybody eats, the Putney Town Fair, those types of things are kind of community-driven organizations that are essentially apolitical, and that becomes the kind of the measure of those things. All of these things, had we distributed that, in the informational flyer, would have aligned with the existing policy components, but then would have exposed us to having to distribute other pieces of political information without discrimination against those items.
Okay. Thank you for explaining.
Thank you. Tim?
Yeah, I just don't see this as a political statement at all, any more than providing food to hungry students is political. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments before I ask Ann to? Seeing none, I think we can start our weekends. Ann, would you help us out here?
Am I still muted?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, there being no further business before this board, I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Sean. Thank you. It's moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and we are adjourned.